Hello, everyone. I'm Natasha, your host for today's episode.
And today, we're going to talk about something that stops so many English learners from speaking confidently. That is, overthinking. You know that moment when you want to say something, but your brain starts working like a busy traffic jam. Too many thoughts, too many questions, too much self-checking. And before you finally speak, the moment has already passed. In this lesson, we're going to work together to break that habit, so you can think less, speak more, and sound more natural in your conversations. I want you to know right from the start that overthinking is not a sign that you're bad at English. It's a sign that you care about how you sound. But caring too much in the moment can freeze you. The truth is, fluent speakers don't stop to think about every grammar rule before they speak. They trust their practice, they go with the flow, and they fix mistakes naturally as they talk. That's the habit we want to build today. Let's start by understanding why overthinking happens. Many English learners create pressure inside their mind to be perfect. They tell themselves, I have to speak without mistakes. I must use the best word. I must sound like a native. But this pressure slows you down. Imagine you're walking down the street. But before each step you stop and check if your foot is in the perfect position. You'd never get anywhere. Speaking works the same way. You can't analyze every word and expect to be fast and natural. Now, I want you to try something with me. Think about a simple sentence like, I like coffee. Don't plan, don't overthink, just say it out loud right now. I like coffee. Now say it again, but this time try to add one extra detail without pausing too much. I like coffee in the morning. Notice how your mind wants to pause to check grammar or vocabulary, but if you push through, your brain starts to trust itself. This is the first small step to thinking less while speaking. Overthinking also happens when you translate from your native language in your head. If you're always building the sentence in your language first, then turning it into English, your brain has to do double the work. This is why I always recommend practicing short, ready-to-use phrases until they become automatic. For example, instead of thinking, in my language I say, how can I say this in English? Train your brain to go straight to the English phrase. Let's try this together. When you want to start a story, don't think about translating. Just go straight to, you know what happened today? Say it with me now. You know what happened today? The goal here is to create what I call ready blocks in your mind. Little sentence starters and patterns that you can use without thinking. Because when your brain already knows the starting point, the rest of the sentence flows more easily. For example, the thing is, to be honest, I was thinking. Try saying these out loud now, without stopping to check your grammar. Feel how they give you momentum to keep talking. Another reason we overthink is fear of judgment. We imagine the other person listening and noticing every small mistake. But here's the truth. Most people are focusing on the meaning of your words, not your grammar. Think about when you listen to someone learning your language. Do you stop to count their mistakes? Probably not. You're just trying to understand them. The same is true when you speak English. I want to give you a small practice challenge you can do every day. For the next week, talk to yourself in English for 2 minutes without stopping. Choose any topic, your day, your plans, your memories. The rule is, you cannot stop to correct yourself. If you make a mistake, just keep going. After the 2 minutes, you can think about how to say it better. This trains your brain to focus on fluency first, accuracy second. Let's try a mini version right now. I'll give you a topic. Your favorite food. I want you to speak for 30 seconds about it. Start with, my favorite food is, and keep going. Describe the taste, when you eat it, why you like it. Don't stop, don't check. Just let it flow. Ready? Go. Now, how did that feel? Did you notice moments where your brain wanted to pause and check if what you were saying was correct? That's completely normal. The important thing is that you kept going. When you push yourself to keep talking without stopping for corrections, you're training a very important skill. Trust. Trust in your ability to communicate even if you don't feel perfect. Because fluency is not about being perfect. It's about keeping the conversation alive. Sometimes, overthinking comes from trying to use complicated vocabulary when simple words can do the job. For example, if you want to say, I was extremely hungry after work, so I immediately devoured my dinner. That's a beautiful sentence. But if your brain is stuck searching for devoured or extremely, you lose time. Instead, just say, I was so hungry after work, I ate dinner quickly. Same meaning, less pressure. Later when you're practicing, you can replace ate dinner quickly with devoured my dinner. But in real conversation, choose the easier path so you can speak without delay. Let's practice simplifying right now. I'll give you some sentences, and you'll change them into simpler versions without stopping. Ready? I was utterly exhausted after completing my long and tiring project at the office. You could simply say, I was so tired after finishing my project at work. Here's another one. The weather conditions were absolutely dreadful, with heavy precipitation and freezing temperatures. Simpler version. The weather was terrible, with heavy rain and cold. See how easy it becomes to keep talking when you choose words your brain already knows? Another big reason you might overthink is because you're worrying about the future of the conversation. You're not just thinking about the sentence you're saying, you're already imagining the next question, the next answer, and whether you'll understand the reply. That's too much weight for one moment. Try focusing only on the sentence you're speaking right now. It's like walking down a dark street with a flashlight. The light only shows you a few steps ahead, but that's all you need to move forward. Here's a quick focus practice. I'll say the first half of a sentence, and you finish it without thinking too far ahead. Today I woke up and... Whatever comes to your mind, say it. After breakfast, I decided to... Don't plan the story, just let your brain hand you the next few words. This is how you stay present in the conversation, instead of worrying about the future. I also want to talk about self-correction. Many learners think they must stop mid-sentence to fix a mistake, but that interrupts your flow. Instead, finish your sentence, and then, if it's important, say it again in the correct form. For example, yesterday I go to the market. Sorry, I went to the market. This way, you keep the rhythm, and you show you can correct yourself naturally. That's what confident speakers do. Now, let's try a role play. Imagine you're telling me about your weekend. Start speaking. And if you make a grammar mistake, don't stop. Just finish your thought, then repeat it correctly. For example, on Saturday I ate dinner with my friends. I ate dinner with my friends. This builds both fluency and accuracy at the same time. You might be wondering, Natasha, how can I train myself to think less before speaking? One powerful way is through repetition drills. Pick a short sentence and repeat it many times, adding small changes. This gives your brain a pattern to follow without having to rebuild every sentence from scratch. Let's do one together. The base sentence is, I like walking in the park. Now change it slightly each time. I like walking in the park in the morning. I like walking in the park with my dog. I like walking in the park when it's sunny. Keep going. Your brain starts to form sentences automatically, and the thinking time becomes shorter. Another useful trick is shadowing. This means listening to a sentence and speaking at the same time as the speaker. It forces you to stop thinking about each word and just follow the rhythm. You can do this with English videos, podcasts, or even songs. The goal is not to be perfect, but to train your mouth and mind to move together. Let's try a mini shadowing exercise now. I'll say a sentence, and you repeat it with me as I speak. Ready? I'm learning to speak English more confidently every day. Again. I'm learning to speak English more confidently every day. One more. I'm learning to speak English more confidently every day. When you do shadowing regularly, something amazing happens. You stop trying to build every sentence piece by piece. Instead, whole chunks of language start to live in your memory, ready to use. This is how native speakers work. They don't always create each sentence from zero. They reuse familiar patterns in different situations. And when you have those patterns ready, your brain doesn't need to overthink. Another thing that can help is lowering the pressure you put on yourself during conversations. Sometimes learners think every single conversation is a test, but it's not. It's just communication. Think about when you send a quick message to a friend. You don't write it like a formal essay. You just send it. Speaking is the same. You're delivering a message, not writing a book. The less you treat it like an exam, the easier it becomes to let words flow. Let's try a quick mindset shift exercise. I want you to imagine you're having coffee with a close friend who accepts you completely. You're telling them about your day, in English. You don't feel nervous. You don't try to impress them. You just talk. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture the scene and start speaking. Tell them about the first thing you did this morning, even if you make mistakes. Your friend is smiling and listening. That's the feeling you want to bring into every English conversation. Overthinking often starts before you even open your mouth. Maybe you replay the upcoming conversation in your head and imagine all the ways it could go wrong. The solution is to give your brain something easy to start with, so you don't freeze. I call these jumpstart phrases. Short, friendly openers you can use anywhere. For example, hey, how's it going? You know what's funny? I was just thinking about. These are like opening a small door into the conversation, so your brain can walk through without hesitation. Let's do a quick practice. I'll give you a situation, and you choose a jumpstart phrase. Situation 1. You meet a colleague at the office in the morning. You could say, "Morning, how are you today?" Situation 2. You join a friend online for a video call. You might say, "Hey, how's your day been so far?" Situation 3. You're talking to a shop assistant. You could start with, "Hi, can I ask you something?" By practicing these smalls, L starts, you remove the hardest part of speaking, the very beginning. Another tip is to shorten the time between thinking and speaking. Many learners have a habit of thinking too long before answering, which increases self-doubt. To break this habit, practice answering immediately, even if your answer is simple. For example, if I ask, "What did you do yesterday?" Don't wait. Just say something like, "I went for a walk," or "I stayed home and watched TV." You can add details later, but starting fast keeps your brain active and confident. Here's a quick rapid response drill. I'll ask you questions, and you answer the first thing that comes to mind. Ready? What's your favorite fruit? Where do you want to go on vacation? What did you have for breakfast? What's something you enjoyed last weekend? Who's someone you talk to often? This kind of practice makes you quicker, without giving your brain time to overthink. I also want you to remember that pauses are not bad. Even native speakers pause to think, to take a breath, or to choose the next word. The difference is that they use natural fillers like, "you know," "well," or "let me see." These fillers give you a moment to think without feeling awkward. Let's practice a few. Repeat after me. Well, I think. You know, that's a good question. Let me see. These little tools are like bridges between your thoughts, so you don't feel pressured to speak at full speed all the time. Overthinking can also be reduced by speaking more often in safe, low-pressure situations. That could mean talking to yourself while cooking, describing what you see on the street, or even narrating what you're doing as you clean your room. It may sound strange, but it's powerful. When you make English part of your daily environment, your brain stops treating it like a special performance and starts treating it like a normal habit. Let's try a daily life narration exercise right now. Imagine you're in your kitchen, making a cup of tea. Speak out loud what you're doing. I'm filling the kettle with water. I'm turning it on. I'm getting a cup from the shelf. I'm opening the tea bag. Keep describing until you've finished the process. The more you do this, the more automatic your speaking becomes, and the less space there is for overthinking. Another thing I want you to remember is that speaking is not just about words, it's about connection. If you focus too much on the technical side, you forget that the purpose of speaking is to share a thought, a story, or a feeling. When you keep your attention on the person you're speaking to, on their reactions and emotions, your brain has less time to analyze every single word. For example, if you're telling a funny story to a friend, notice their smile or laughter. This will encourage you to keep going, instead of stopping to wonder if you used the correct tense. Let's do a quick focus shift practice. Think of a story you could tell, maybe about something surprising that happened last week. Imagine you're telling it to someone and pay attention to their reactions in your mind. See them nodding, smiling, or raising their eyebrows. Feel how it keeps you moving forward in the story without worrying about perfection. Another reason we overthink is that we sometimes try to talk about topics that feel too complicated for our current level. That's like trying to climb a steep mountain without training first. You can, but it's exhausting. Instead, start with simple, familiar topics, your daily routine, your favorite hobbies, a recent movie you watched. These topics already live in your mind, so your brain has less work to do when building sentences. Here's a practice for that. Choose one very simple topic. For example, my morning routine. Speak about it for 1 minute, then for 2 minutes, then for 3. Each time, add a little more detail. At first, you might say, I wake up, I make coffee, I go to work. Next round, you can add, I wake up at 7 a.m., I make coffee with milk, I take the bus to work. By repeating and expanding, you're building confidence and reducing overthinking. Sometimes overthinking comes from comparing yourself to others. You hear someone speaking very fluently and think, I'll never sound like that. But you have to remember that their journey is different from yours. You don't see the hours they've spent practicing, the mistakes they've made, or the times they've felt nervous. Comparing yourself only creates more pressure. Instead, compare yourself to your past self. Think about how you spoke English 6 months ago and notice the progress you've made. Let's try a reflection exercise. Close your eyes and remember a time when you struggled to say a simple sentence in English. Now, think about how you would say that sentence today. Feel that difference. That's proof you're moving forward. And the more you focus on your own growth, the less you overthink about perfection. Another powerful way to stop overthinking is to prepare speaking maps for common situations. A speaking map is like a small mental plan for a conversation you have often. For example, if you order coffee every morning, you can plan 3 or 4 sentences you will use. Hi, can I have a latte, please? Yes, medium size. Thank you. Have a nice day. When you already know the path, you don't need to think too much in the moment. Let's practice building one now. Imagine you're meeting someone new. Your speaking map could be, Hi, I'm your name. Nice to meet you. So, how do you know mutual friend's name? That's interesting. Try saying those lines out loud now, without stopping to check grammar. This is how you make speaking feel more natural and automatic. And here's something important. Sometimes overthinking is not about English at all. It's about your personality. If you're naturally shy or cautious, you might also overthink and your own language. That's okay. But learning to let go in English can also help you let go in other parts of life. You can use English conversations as a safe space to practice being a little more spontaneous. Let's do a spontaneity drill. I'll give you random words, and you make a quick sentence with each one. Don't stop to plan. Ready? Sun, bus, friend, dinner, book, music. The goal isn't to make perfect sentences, it's to train your brain to respond without freezing. Over time, this becomes a habit, and you'll notice you start speaking more easily, without heavy thinking. Finally, I want to remind you that mistakes are part of learning. Every fluent speaker you admire has made thousands of mistakes. What makes them fluent is that they kept speaking through those mistakes. Every time you speak, you're building a stronger connection between your thoughts and your words, and each conversation is another step toward thinking less and speaking more. One of the best ways to keep your mind calm while speaking is to remember that English is not just something you study, it's something you live. The more you connect English to your everyday experiences, the less it feels like a performance, and the more it feels like a natural part of you. For example, when you're shopping, think about the names of the items in English. When you're cooking, describe the steps in English. When you're walking outside, name the things you see. All of this quiet, background practice trains your brain to think in English without overthinking. Let's try a small daily life walkthrough together. Imagine you're in a supermarket. You're walking past the fruit section. You see bananas, apples, grapes. You say to yourself, I need some apples. These grapes look fresh. I think I'll buy bananas too. Then you move to the bread aisle. I'm looking for whole wheat bread. Oh, here it is. This one looks soft. These little self-talk moments help you practice without the pressure of a conversation. So when you do talk to someone, your mind already has the words ready. Another habit that helps is learning to accept good enough English in the moment. This doesn't mean you stop improving. It means that during a conversation, your goal is to be understood, not to speak perfectly. Later, during practice time, you can focus on accuracy and advanced vocabulary. Think of it like sports. In a game, you focus on playing, not on analyzing your technique. The analysis happens in training. Let's do a quick good enough exercise. I'll give you a thought in your native language, but you don't translate it perfectly. You just give me a quick, understandable version in English. For example, if in your language you want to say, after I finished work, I felt an intense craving for a specific type of dessert that I hadn't eaten in months. You can simply say, after work, I really wanted a dessert I hadn't had in a long time. It's short, clear, and keeps the flow going. Overthinking can also happen. When you focus too much on grammar rules while speaking, grammar is important, but in real conversation, it's okay to let your natural speech lead. Many times, your instincts will be right, especially if you've been listening to English regularly. And if you make a small grammar mistake, most people won't even notice. The more you trust your listening experience, the more fluent you'll sound. Let's do an instinct drill. I'll give you part of a sentence, and you finish it quickly without worrying about the grammar. If I have time tomorrow, I'm planning to. The last time I went there. I don't usually. The key here is not to stop. Your brain gets stronger when you keep moving forward. Another small but powerful tip is to limit the amount of rewind in your conversations. Many learners have the habit of stopping mid-sentence, going back, and starting again. But that makes the brain think each sentence must be perfect from the start. Instead, just keep moving forward and let the conversation flow. We can train this by practicing what I call forward speaking. If you make a mistake, you quickly correct it and keep going without rewinding. For example, I went to the store yesterday and bought some fruit. See how you correct and move forward? This keeps you confident and fluent at the same time. And finally, I want you to start seeing every conversation as an opportunity, not a challenge. Even if it's just a 2-minute chat with a stranger, it's a moment to train your fluency muscle. The more you speak, the easier it becomes to turn off the overthinking and simply enjoy expressing yourself. Here's your last practice challenge for today. Think of one person you could talk to in English this week, a friend, a colleague, or even someone online. Prepare 2 or 3 simple topics you can talk about, but when the conversation starts, let go of the plan and just follow the flow. Notice how freeing it feels when you stop trying to control every word and instead just let the conversation carry you. Remember, every sentence you speak is progress. Every time you keep talking despite a mistake, you're training yourself to think less and speak more. Over time, your brain will naturally replace the habit of overthinking with the habit of speaking freely. And that's when English stops being something you worry about and starts being something you truly enjoy. So, as we finish today's session, I want you to remember this simple truth. The less you try to be perfect in every single moment, the faster you will improve. Overthinking slows you down, but trust and consistent practice will always move you forward. Make English a part of your daily life. Speak even when you feel unsure, and let each conversation be a step toward freedom in your speaking. Your goal is not to speak like a dictionary. Your goal is to speak like a person who has ideas to share, feelings to express, and stories to tell. And the more you focus on that, the less space there is in your mind for doubt. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you keep practicing these exercises and notice how much lighter speaking feels when you stop overthinking. And if you enjoyed this session, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications so you never miss a new lesson. We have so many more tips, exercises, and fun conversations coming your way, and I'd love for you to be here for every single one. Until then, keep speaking, keep smiling, and keep growing. You're doing better than you think. See you next time.